All right, welcome back to the block party. After a bit of disruption, we've now reconfigured things so that we have a waiting room so that if there are hackers or haters or whatever they might be called who try to join, they will be filtered out. So that's good news. We're also streaming live on YouTube, and we are now about to go back to our originally scheduled program of the Divine Feminine. So welcome everyone, and in particular Melissa, Jackie, and Maida, who are going to lead this conversation on the Divine Feminine. I will continue to play goaltender for anyone who gets in the waiting room and whatnot, so just follow my lead as we let new people in. And other than that, ladies, welcome, and please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamin. Hello and good morning, everyone. Really glad to be here. And I thought, given all that we have just been through this morning, we could start with a song.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to rise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly. Blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. We're only waiting for this moment to rise. Blackbird fly. Blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
All right, we got somebody in the waiting room. Actually, let's see here. One waiting. Okay, oops, they've popped out of the waiting room. I was just about to admit them. And just so everyone knows, we can also, for playing music, it's usually best to play it on the computer, and then it uses the computer's sound, and we can stream that way.
Okay.
So that's an
Thanks
option.
for next time.
Yep.
Well, hello again, and I'd like to open the conversation this morning with a discussion about loss and death and mourning. Jackie and I spoke briefly yesterday, and I don't know if any of you have been experiencing something similar, but yesterday I was feeling really, really sad. And I kind of checked in with myself, and what I realized is the sorrow was coming through me. And I've been touching into the news, and I find it so heavy right now that I really can't spend a lot of time reading newspaper articles about what's going on. I can only go in and see in snippets the news. And there's so many people right now who are ill, and so many people who have died, that they're just, right now they're being portrayed as just bodies and numbers. You know, 186 dead yesterday, or 2,000 dead here, and there just doesn't seem to have been time for us to talk about death and mourning, and really to grieve the loss, and not just of human lives, but also of ecosystems and species on the planet. So Jackie and I were talking about this, and we were looking at this shadow side, which is what that is, you know, the sorrow, the grieving, the loss, feeling of loss. And so we wanted to start by exploring that and then move into the gift, what that looks like coming out of the shadow. So I'm going to pass that over to Jackie and Myra now to start exploring with me this shadow side, and anybody else who wants to participate in the conversation, just let us know and we'll open it up.
You know, when we talk about loss, I think we really, even the word itself, it puts us in a state of mind that we are lacking something, that something's been taken from us. I empathize greatly with what's going on. I empathize greatly with the grieving that's going on. My son would have been 22 years old on the 13th of April. And it marks the 11, in June, it'll be 11 years since he passed away. And he was 11. And so I've thought a lot about that feeling of what empathizing with so much of the grieving that's going on right now, and how much we need to have the conversations to feel the feelings that we're feeling, not desensitize ourselves to it or run from it, but allow and observe and go through that feeling of what loss is. And I feel it in my body too, Melissa, just like we were talking about last night. And it brings me to such a place of gratitude that I can understand the transition my son made, that I can understand the reason and the purpose and the gift of that. And what came of that for me was a profound awakening to understand that I could not become trapped and encapsulated in the 10 days of his suffering and his loss, but to celebrate the fact that he chose me as a mom, to celebrate the 11 years that I had with him, to remember the last time he kissed me and hold that in my heart. Not to think that I'm a victim of anything, that nothing was taken from me. But if this soul was going to come on this planet and make profound shifts and make such a statement that I was thought so highly of, that he was sent to me to give me that gift of awakening and unconditional love, to understand the gift of being a mother and to experience life, the entire cycle, to understand that my twins were just in first, second grade, that I had to live for them and I couldn't die with him. Those were such profound lessons that I learned. And then how to be his mother in life, because I'm always going to be his mom, but now he's in different form. So how do I honor that life? How do I honor that lesson? How do I honor the fact that now that he's in formlessness, what gifts did I garner? What can I shine from the lessons I learned onto the planet? How do I celebrate him and all his light? And it brought me on this journey. It brought me on a journey of a lot of pain. It was an awakening. And I lost a lot of family on the way. I lost a lot because I learned about myself and about my divinity and my worth. So the gifts of seeing something as a loss, it really was, why is this here for me? How is this showing up? What can I learn? And what can I take from this? What pearls can I take from this and evolve myself and be the best version of myself and celebrate? So for those of us that are just losing so many of our beloved family members, let's not think about so much about what we're losing, but let's honor their life. Let's honor their sacrifice, because what we're going through is such a profound shift in humanity right now. And if we can look at these beings that are being, that this virus is defeating their immune system, I think we need to be in touch and celebrate these lives, honor these lives. Don't let them go down as data and digits and numbers. Let's celebrate with all these people that are mourning. Let them know we see you. We see you. That person is someone you love and they're not here anymore. We see you. And Melissa, if you could share the idea you had yesterday, it was so beautiful. I think we can take this gift of loss and transmute it into such love and such an expression of love and unity on the planet. And right now, we're just right for it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. That was really beautiful how you moved out of the shadow into the gift. And this is a project that I have been thinking about doing. And yesterday, Jackie and I evolved it a little bit further. But through this shadow work, I was thinking, well, how can, first I started with myself, how can I make a positive piece of art that celebrates life and honors death? And I thought of creating a ribbon project, and I call it the Compassion Ribbon Project. And Jackie and I explored this, and the idea is, originally my idea is to create a rainbow of ribbons, where every color of ribbon represents something. So red could represent humanity, green could represent the ecosystems, the earth, the trees, the plants, yellow could represent insects, etc. And I thought to start to create this wall of ribbons, like on a chain link fence, where they're all tied and they're interconnected and they create patterns and like a landscape, which really talks about this interconnection of all of us in this web. And I could imagine the wind blowing through them and them dancing. And then Jackie and I explored taking this idea. I am going to do that project, by the way. But we also talked about, well, how could we use this project to celebrate the lives of the people who have been lost, or the species that have been lost? And the thought is to start a ribbon virus, if I could call it that, where each one of us could start to tie ribbons on our front doorknobs, or on our balconies, or on the trees in our front yards. And we could play with the colors, and then we could pass this on to our neighbors as an idea, and our friends, so that everybody in communities or in cities could start tying these ribbons. And so we could create this ribbon network around the globe, actually, that is celebrating life and honoring all that have passed before us.
What a beautiful celebration is, because it's visual. And like we discussed last night, we're all physically isolated. But what a beautiful way to connect through color, through art, through expression, and to celebrate the lives of those that have transitioned in this transformation. And I said, you know, those silly challenges with the ice water challenge, like those go viral. Why don't we just kind of ask and invite people to just share their expression of loss and celebrating that person with ribbons, and just take photos and just tell us about the person. Tell us about your experience with that photo of the ribbon and where you've placed it, and start sharing that. And everyone share their ribbons, their hearts, their sentiments.
Yeah, and I also think people can write on their ribbons. They can write a name of a loved one lost, or of a species they care about, you know, orca. Because this is the other thing I was thinking, like how do we help or role model transformation? Because from this morning's experience, this is a group of people who are working in a very negative and very low energy. So how you know, maybe they'll get there, maybe they won't get to a higher consciousness, who knows? But how can we role model that change? And one of the things that came to me is when we go to that place of sharing about what we love. Everybody loves something, right? It could be a bee, it could be chocolate donuts, I don't know, it's many things. And if we can help people shift into what they care about, what they love, then it raises the vibration, it raises the energy to a higher plane. And I think that any kind of discussion about this, any kind of projects around this can help those in the lower vibration to start to transform and make that shift.
And so many of us don't know how to process those feelings. They suffocate us, they drown us. And I speak for myself, but I'm sure I mirror a lot of people's experiences, that I was raised in a very unconscious household where feelings were never celebrated, were never even invited. So you didn't even know how to deal with loss. You didn't know how. Everything was catastrophic. It was very histrionic. And so there was no way of just sitting with your feelings and understanding pain, suffering, loss. So to invite people through artistic expression and to infuse these experiences with love and support, it gives people an opportunity, maybe not if we don't have the words, but we have some kind of way of taking this energy and these thoughts and this grieving and grounding them somewhere outside of our bodies, taking those feelings and sharing them with the collective, where we're all as a family waiting with virtual hugs, right? To embrace that expression of loss and grieving and say, we see you, we've got you, we understand, we know. And if we could just give people an opportunity, a space to just share, like you said, just a word, just a photo, a ribbon tied to a photo of the person. That is just such an opportunity for someone to say, you know what, you don't know this person, but they meant something to me. And thank you for seeing them. They were real, they existed, they were here, and now they're not. And it's just to validate for some people, just to say, they existed. Thank you for that.
And I would really love to suggest to all of us who turn up regularly to Block Party and the Solution Club that we could start, each one of us, as a little homework project. We could each do a ribbon something and turn up with it next time, whether it's next Tuesday or next Friday. We're all really good at coming together in conversation, but I think it could be really good to actually take that next step and start the manifestation of change through the action of creating something. So I really want to put that challenge out to each and every one of you and beyond, that why don't we do that? I'd love, I for one will do it. So I challenge you, next time, turn up with your ribbon project. It can just be little,
Hi, I'm gonna step in here for a little bit. And definitely from that divine feminine, which we know, and it's not just about women, we know that. I mean, Jamin has a divine feminine and everybody here. Every male, every female. However, it's funny that you guys were talking about the ribbons, because as a matter of fact, I'm going to start an activity with my kids since they still haven't figured out how they're going to do the whole online school. And Alessandra was going to graduate this year, and it's just a mess. And it's just not a mess here, it's a mess worldwide. However, I guess we stand into that same type of activities of trying to express ourselves through different ways. That activity that I'm gonna do with them, I had to order some yarn from Amazon, different colored yarns, and this is like something that the Native Americans used to do back in the day. And I'm pretty sure they still do it, but our new cultures, we lost it. And it's based on putting two tree sticks that are the same width and same height. And then you make a cross, and then you just pass the yarn. I'll show you guys how to do it next week, and then hopefully by next week I already have what the kids did, and we can share that with everybody. It's called God's Eye, and it basically, you let the kids pick up the colors that they want, and it starts forming a very beautiful cross. Within the divine feminine, we are healers by nature. We just have to put that mindfulness into the way our children express themselves. What is our body, our voice, our eyes, every expression, what is it trying to tell us? And when it's hard for the kids to express something like such, what are they feeling within right now? I think it's very important for us, men and women, within using their right side of the brain, beautiful side of the brain, and getting to study a little bit what each color means, so we can know what are our kids trying to tell us. We lost all those communication, beautiful ways of humanity trying to express itself. And we are definitely, life is pushing us in very challenging ways to get connected to that again. But it's going to be an ending, a happy ending, with no doubt. But yeah, definitely I'll share that with you guys next week. Thank you.
Myra, you're reminding me of a number of years ago, I ran art workshops for children who were in detention centers and who were on probation for crimes. And we were making star lanterns, and I brought tissue paper. So they're bamboo stars, 5-pointed stars, and they're dimensional, and you cover them in tissue paper. And I brought a pack of tissue paper, rainbow color, and it had black and gray in there. And the majority of the children used the black and the gray tissue paper, which I hadn't even considered as a possibility. I thought that would have been left out. But what it was showing me was really their state of inner turmoil and depression and chaos. And so the next time I ran that workshop, I actually took all the black and the gray tissue paper out of the pack, which I think is kind of interesting. You know, like if we keep bringing color in, because color really feeds our soul, then I believe that this, again, will raise our vibration. And color is really important that way. And then you help these youth come to hopefully a new place of inhabiting their beings, using the color as a form of therapy as well.
Definitely. And the right side of our brains, it can distinguish colors. So that divine feminine that we have is colorful by nature. It's bright colors. And this is why I always encourage people when they're wearing dark colors to try to use light colors, because that changes your whole personality also. So yeah, it's very interesting, and it's beautiful that we're getting back to that. I know I'm not the only one doing it. You guys are doing it also, and I'll be on social media with mothers, giving them suggestions and guiding them how to do this type of activities with their kids. It's a very interesting season.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. And I just wanted to open up the floor also to anyone else who's here to comment. If you have any ideas or comments you'd like to make, feedback. All right. So your homework will be due by, no, just kidding. Yeah, you can tell I'm a mother too. Mother to many chipmunks at the moment.
You know, I like the idea of just writing something on a ribbon and just going across the street to the park and just like wrapping it around. It reminds me of, you know, tie the yellow ribbon. And it's kind of bringing that sentiment of just awareness. Because I think you're right, like the numbers just keep on escalating and it becomes like desensitized. And you just like, it. All we do is we focus on ourselves. Like, what does that number mean for us? That number is growing. What does that mean for me? And we lose that, the meaning behind all of that and the suffering that's going on. And as if there wasn't enough suffering going on, people are now saying, now there's even more suffering. I mean, the fear also, like think about the movie Contagion, like this is what we're living. Like, you know, being from New York and feeling like, my gosh, I could have been there during this. Had we not moved, you know? And thinking about that, this brings us right back to the human component, to the humanity of what's going on, to that collective wisdom that we're always trying to, again, remind ourselves of. Is let's be in touch with those people. And in my work, especially with, again, our really vulnerable communities that are living very closely, that don't have the right medical support, don't have the right interventions. Those are the ones that I feel like are the ones that are going to get lost the most. I mean, you see of all the movie stars and politicians that have it and they're talking, but you know, the grandmas that live down the street and the little boy, the 9-month-old, you know, the teenager that didn't have insurance and was turned away from urgent care and had a heart attack and died on his way to the emergency room. These are the lives we're not talking about. These are the lives that are just becoming numbers and scrolls. But we really have to just bring awareness to it. And again, in a celebratory, loving way, like you suggested, Melissa, to bring that love and that awareness and just keep it alive, that spirit alive, because they're here with us. They're here with us, they're transformed, but they're here with us. And let's maintain that frequency and let's let them know that we're celebrating your life and we're celebrating your sacrifice and we're aware and we're transforming because your loss will not be in vain. And I think that's the message that, to me, as humanity, that we can take forward. We see what happened and we're going to honor these losses and we're going to become the best people and best species on the planet that we can be and become those caretakers that we can be in honor of your loss.
There is this thing that I'm starting to witness as well, because we monkeys are very clever. And so there's an obstacle put in our way and we will look for ways to get around it, which is what we're all doing, right? We're all on Zoom and we're figuring out how to do our stuff online. And my concern is that we will bypass these opportunities while we get so busy now using other tools and technologies that we will forget or anesthetize ourselves so that we don't keep with that looking within and looking at, well, what hasn't been working and what is going on now and how do we address what is going on. So what I love about the Ribbon Project is it's a way for us to stay in touch with our feelings, which a lot of us are not good at. I'm Irish, so I'm very good at it. I cry all the time. God bless the Irish. And that's just yeah, Steph, I got a thumbs up from Stephanie.
and from Jamie.
And Jamie, okay. Is that if we don't come back into the feeling realm, if we don't get back in touch with our tactility, like we've lost touch with everything, we lost touch with our feeling, the feeling realm, then we're going to stay in a lot of deep trouble. So I really think that something like the Ribbon Project, and that it's a community and a global community engagement project, helps us get in touch with our feelings, because we have to feel our way forward now. A lot of this can't be thought forward. It has to be felt forward.
You know, Melissa, I've come to understand so many of us don't know the difference between our thoughts and our feelings. we really, so many of us really believe that our thoughts and our feelings are the same. And I think that's why the artistic expression is the best way to do that, because you, again, art bypasses ego, it bypasses that intellect, it goes right for the heart and right for the experience. So it automatically takes you out of being so cerebral and puts you in that heart space of that expression. And it's something that I would love to continue to discuss about how to help humanity really distinguish between their thoughts and their feelings, and to understand that feelings and emotions are not the same. You know, we're such amazing beings, and we're so multidimensional. And the way to get through this is to really understand, you know, how those things work. I mean, the typical person, you ask how you feel, and they're like, well, I think that, you know, if the driver in front of me wouldn't piss me off, then I'd be in a great mood. So everything is thoughts. It's never about feelings. You know, people don't understand really how to express themselves. And I think this project is a perfect way, especially for those really difficult, very delicate emotions like grieving and loss.
The other thing that's coming to me is if people start to see these ribbons appearing, like we're all housebound, there's very little activity going on outside apart from the people being able to go on short walks or driving to the store to get groceries. And so I think there's something really interesting about this action of tying these ribbons onto trees or railings or balconies and doorknobs, where there's this silent appearance of an action about our feelings. And I think that could be really powerful. And I'm just thinking about this really incredible novel I read years ago called 100 Years of Solitude by Marquez. And there's a moment where he's describing how the world starts to forget itself, which in a way we have been doing. And so he has to tag everything. He has to write, you know, refrigerator, book, chair. And so he writes down the names of things and tags them to try and hold on to the memory of those things as everything starts to disappear. And so I love that idea. And I think, you know, this writing of names and this action of tying a ribbon, even if it's to also a caregiver or a doctor or a nurse or a fireman. You know, there's so many people who are out on the front lines as well who we may or may not see, who are out there taking these courageous acts of helping, trying to help people recover or crematoriums, you know, morgues workers. And so I think this act of grace, I'm going to call it that, this act of grace, it could be really powerful. And it can help us as individuals and help us as a collective. And it kind of makes me think of ghosts in a way, you know, these sort of ghostly appearances of ribbons all over the place, you know, that are a marker that someone's cared and someone's thought about it and someone's got in touch with their feelings about these experiences we're having as a collective and as individuals.
You know, you brought up the people that are on the front line, and I remember a couple of days ago I was watching the news, and there was this physician in New Jersey who was treating patients with COVID-19, knowing that he was not protected, and he still kept going, and he knew once he was exposed. And 7 days later, he passed. And they were interviewing his husband and a dear friend. And his husband could not even get a word out. The sorrow, he just could not even get a word out. Like, those are the thoughts that are staying in my mind as you're discussing this. Like, how many have we lost that are going in there and saying, the system isn't working for us. I have kids at home. You know, I have a spouse that I need to go home to, but they're there. They're there because they're doing the work that is required of us as human beings. Those are the ones that we need to shine that light on and remind us that the best of us, and unfortunately, it takes crisis. It takes a huge, huge meteor, to come and slam down on us for us to awaken and remember, because yes, so many of us are asleep, but it's about the remembering. We know who we are, and it takes crisis and emergencies to snap out of the illusion and remember who we are. And let's do what Sailesh says. Let's make this transformation in this time. Let's make this the last time that humanity needs crisis to raise ourselves finally out of infancy and evolve into the species that we are, with the potential that we are. We are all love. And if we cannot reach out to one another in these times of crisis and loss and reflect that within one another, then how do we plan to ascend? If we can't be there for each other in the worst of times and say, this is not about me, how can I be there? How can I help? How can I support? Like, let's highlight and celebrate that we spend so much time on the fear. We need to start celebrating the humanity that's coming up and rising up, and this opportunity, like you said, Melissa, this is an opportunity to shine the light on the best of us. And I think we need to start celebrating and really showing that.
The other thing no one's been talking about, as far as my channels that I've been listening in, is we're losing our elders. And so we're losing all this wisdom and elder wisdom and lifetimes of experience, like a whole generation of stories is going. And I think that's something really interesting to explore. Michael Meade has written about dementia at this time, and how, because we put our elders into retirement homes, we have caregivers for them. We don't take care of them anymore in our families. We're keeping people perhaps alive too long on drugs when their time has come to pass. And so there's a lot of dementia now with elders because they're being forgotten. We're forgetting them. And so they are forgetting because there's no more interaction. And now what's happening is the virus is taking out first these elder populations. And I just think that's an interesting thing. We're losing our elders. We're losing the grandmas and the grandpas in large numbers.
It is a very interesting aspect, Melissa, because, and as a matter of fact, I'm trying to find answers to what, I guess, maybe not answers, just let the answers come as the information just flows within. But there's times when I do have that doubt and that question. Our kids, our little ones, they are not the ones that are passing. The ones that are not dying usually is the elder ones. And we would say that with this type of sickness, with this type of virus, everybody is vulnerable. Kids and elder and teenagers. I think the youngest one, from what I know, I don't know from other countries, but I believe here in the United States, the youngest one has been a 17-year-old. But other than that, I haven't heard of a newborn or a 2 or 3-year-old.
9-month-old.
Oh, a 9-month-old? Oh, yeah. My goodness. Yeah.
Actually, Myra, the virus, my understanding is that it's mutated. It's now affecting all age groups. That's recent. I've heard of whole families dying. So I don't know if that's absolutely correct news, but that's what I've been hearing. Yeah.
Interesting. I haven't been on the news too much. My kids have been keeping me busy here. But yeah, interesting to know that.
And I think that's a very valuable subject to discuss, Melissa. It's about how we treat our elderly how we treat those that are now disposable. They have no value, they have no worth, they're taking up space, they're taking up time. You know, they're the sacrificial lambs, and it's almost this hubris that humanity has adopted, that if you're not valuable according to what the systems, if you can't contribute according to what the system and the institutions consider valuable, then you are dispensable. And childhood is a part of life that's, it needs to be managed and controlled so that you can become who we need you to be in this society. So childhood has no value except let's mold you and sculpt you into who we need you to be. And then once you can no longer contribute to the system in a way that produces money for me, then now you have no worth and you have no value and you're disposable. So it's that center space is what we've commodified you. So what can you do for us, and what can you contribute for us, and what can we get from you? And once you have no value for us, then you're disposable. And the fact that that mindset has been even infiltrated and embedded into the family systems. Our family systems have become institutionalized. That we now look at our elderly and our children the same way institutions look at us and value us. And I think we really need to start looking at one another and understanding that we don't even see ourselves where our hearts are looking. We look at ourselves through the lens of the institutions and look at what we're doing. Look how far we've come from our roots. I mean, I can trace my roots and my Taino roots right to Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. And to understand that my great-grandparents lived next door to me my whole life. I mean, I grew up with great-grandparents right next door every day after school, hearing the stories and the laughter, watching the silly dancing and the jokes, and the value of the elders on our youth. That community system, that village is so vitally important for our children. And we've just eliminated it. We've just deemed what's worthy for us. And we are taking such value away from our children. I mean, my children right now have 2 sets of grandparents that they're not in touch with because behaviors were unconscious, because they couldn't coexist in a space that was healthy and nurturing for my children. So I had to put boundaries up to protect my children from unconscious, actions and behaviors, so they don't get the value for that. But we've created a community of all different ages to create that space. So I think if we can start talking about the value of childhood and then how we treat our elderly and the value of that wisdom, maybe we can bring that and eliminate that institutionalized way that we see one another as family, especially our parenting as well, and start with the family systems and let that heal and ripple out and create institutions based on that heart-centered space.
Yeah, absolutely, Jackie. And we're trying to pull something up I'd like to share with all of you. Okay, yeah, that's it. My native family, when they have their dances and their gatherings, the children and the elders, and we're going to share this so you can see this, are always included and honored. And the spirit of every being, every child, every adult, every elder is honored and celebrated. So we're just going to put this up so you guys can see this. Githoan, some of these, this is a Tlingit tribe, so they're from Alaska. Thanks, Raymond.
Sure. Okay, screen sharing now.
Here we go. This will raise your spirits.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. One second. Sorry, everybody. I think I didn't do this share computer sound, so let me try that one more time. Thanks. There we go. Okay. No, it will. I just had a little glitch. 1 second.
I think it's the first one you needed to share, though. I think you shared the second one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay.
That's still the.
Let's try again.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. We will get there. I promise you.
We're all working on patience today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So which one? This one?
Yeah, I believe it's
Okay.
Juno celebration. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, so as you can see from that, it is one family of all ages, and they're all singing and dancing together for Mother Earth. And so they are connected culturally through their love of Mother Earth and of all animals. And their songs and their dances are honor dances and celebrating life and honoring spirit. And this is where we have to get to.
Yeah, what really jumped out at me watching that video is I saw the whole group as one, one united. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's like the drum beat is like the beating heart of the whole, of the collective.
Absolutely. It's really well put, Jamin.
Yeah, it reminded me so much of the prophecy of the Rainbow Tribe that Sailesh is always sharing about how we're all coming together of different colors and backgrounds in this community. Like we always, even with the collective intelligence, is like this is our home, this is our family, this is our tribe, you know, the sacred space. And I feel like we're doing that here. We're mirroring that dance right now as we discuss, as all our heart songs come together and create this opus, you know, that was rippling out, is we're doing that here. And it's so healing. I cry a lot, but it's all tears of joy because because we discuss things in such a safe way. You know, it's a touchy subject, even discussing how we as a society view and treat our elderly. You know, that's a delicate subject, and that we're willing and courageous enough to bring those topics up here in a safe space, to bring back how much, and I feel even guilty myself, how much I've strayed from my indigenous roots, where right now you're mirroring back to me, those are my roots. How far have I come? What have I forgotten? You know, all of us, what have we forgotten? That connection, that we are all Mother Nature, we're all source. You know, I look at all the loss that we've experienced. You know, I have cousins in Puerto Rico I've never met. But you know, if someone told me I had a second cousin 3 times removed that passed away, you know what? That would hurt. We're all one family. Every person on this planet that's passing are distant relatives that we're losing, that we'll never have an opportunity to share space with. We're all cousins and aunties and sisters and brothers. We all are one family. And so for you to show that little microcosm of what truly like a family looks like, it's mirroring what we're doing here and what we need to start spreading out into communities, like you were saying, and re-engaging with that spirit of family and that one and that unity.
We all bought into the illusion of separation. And what we're relearning is that we are one family and we are all interconnected and we are connected with everything. There's no separation between the tree people, the human beings, the orca people, the salmon people. We're all interconnected and we depend on each other. And the suffering and the lack of well-being of any one of the families on the planet will affect the whole entire web. And we can keep pretending that that's not the case, but it will be not a good story if we keep doing this. So I am really praying that humanity will keep doing this inner work and learning to connect with spirit and learning to reconnect with one another. So we have 5 minutes left in this segment, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. And Jackie or Myra or anyone else want to say something before Sailesh appears?
I'll just jump in to say that it was very nice to talk with Melissa and Jackie as usual and get to see everybody here. It's almost like we already have a date every Friday, and it's really nice to get up in the morning and knowing that we're all get to meet here and see our beautiful faces. And just a quick message that I have been, and it's gonna be funny, but that I have been saying to myself, oh my God, it's already been 2 weeks of quarantine, maybe a little bit more. I haven't seen my sister Jackie, and I gone to the store and I haven't found toilet paper. And I'm thinking to myself, what does it make people to right away go and get useless stuff like toilet paper? Like I'm like, if the NASA says one day that there's an asteroid coming to Earth, are we all gonna run and grab toilet paper? That is insane. However, I did understand that humanity definitely got lost into the thinking through the stomach instead of thinking through using our brain, both our male and our female brains and our heart brain. We almost got lost into buying things because we think that we need them, the necessity, the lack of not being able to buy maybe what we want, but we don't need. So I think it was a very interesting moment that I had this week. And I'm like, you know what? That's what it is. That's what makes people go buy all this useless stuff. We were taught and we got lost into thinking through the stomach of the brain of our stomach, which is nothing bad, but you have to find a balance in all three of them.
Thank you, Myra. We're just going to share one last little thing, just since you mentioned toilet paper. So just bear with us a few seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Humor back in. Yeah, give us 1 second. Thanks.
I just want to say,
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
All right.
So let me, I just got a screen share here momentarily.
Thank you.
And to those people that are hacking in, may you guys find comfort in your hearts and the light of God. Like, what is the purpose of doing this in this type of circumstances where we are all trying to be one? That's just insane.
Yeah, fortunately, we've managed the hacker situation with the waiting room feature. So you'll notice that when you enter, you're in a waiting room. People we don't know, I let them in one at a time, and the last one I think was a hacker. Welcome, Sailesh. We're just wrapping up here, and let me just screen share here. I'll be right there.
Thank you, everyone. Love all of you, and have a good laugh.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Pluto, and it's the start of a really, really big week. So I thought we would start the week with a Pluto service announcement, but from now on, we're just going to call those PSAs, because that's pretty easy peasy. Okay, so please, everybody, don't go out. Please. Unless you really...
It's not the toilet paper one.
All right. Apparently, okay. Melissa says that is not my dog.
No, it is the dog.
No, but it's not the not the toilet paper dog. Yeah. Anyway, with all due respect to the toilet paper dog.
We still have 1 minute. Let me find it.
Okay.
Because it's too funny.
All right, we're gonna wait for the toilet paper dog. So you've all heard of the poem Waiting for Godot. We're now waiting for Gotta Go.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have
Oh, I think I hear Gotta Go.
No, I guess they've changed it. Okay,
oh.
Well, never mind.
Okay.
Basically, the Pluto, who you just met, says, well, we four-leggeds want to help you two-leggeds out, and we hear that there's a crisis around the toilet paper, and we really don't understand this. I mean, I understand why cats like toilet paper, because they like to play with it. But, you know, what? I just want to give you a tip. What my mom does is she cuts the hairs on my bum really, really, really short, so that when I go, it just comes flying right out. Anyway, next time I'll try to find the old recording so you can see it. It's absolutely hilarious. So bless you all.
And Melissa's been encouraging me to subject myself to that therapy so that I can go paperless. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you all posted. Yeah. Maybe we could even do like a tutorial or something. We would call it a poop-torial. Great. Please join Melissa
We lost
Koch.
Jackie.
Please join Melissa and Jackie as they host us on a poop-torial with Jamin Shively as the victim. I mean, I'm subject. Subject. I mean. Okay.
Sounds like a very big task we have ahead of us.
Thank you. Yeah. All right.
All right. And now we welcome.
All right.
Sailesh
Welcome. Welcome, Sailesh.
You're all in good spirits because of the hackers, it looks like.
Yeah, we got hacked.
We got hacked.
Now
Actually,
we're having fun.
All right.